Hi everyone, my name is Brooklyn Browning, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the singer and songwriter John Mayer. For those of you who aren't familiar with John Mayer or his music, he is an American singer and songwriter, and he really is kind of well known for being kind of acoustic pop music. He started out attending Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. And from there, after he graduated, he moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And that's where he really kind of pulled himself together and refined himself as a musical artist in general. And that's where he found his strengths and weaknesses. After he really kind of got himself together, he ended up moving to Montana. And that's where he's living as of now. I watched in an interview not too long ago, and I think it was with Ellen DeGeneres, and she asked him, she's like, why do you live in Montana? And he's like, why not? So he plans on staying there. He really loves to live there. It's just kind of out by himself and something that he's just really not used to being surrounded by. So when he moved to Montana, that's when he released his first studio album. And the first studio album that he released was called Room for Squares. And after that, 2 years later, in 2003, he released his second studio album, which was called Heavier Things. Both of these albums done pretty fairly well on the musical charts. People were still kind of trying to figure out who this John Mayer was. They were kind of getting a feel for him and his music and musical abilities. So in 2003, John was actually nominated for his first Grammy Award, which was for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. And that was actually for one of his most well-known songs, which was Your Body is a Wonderland. So that was one of his first big achievements, his first Grammy winner. After the release of his two successful albums, then he kind of started getting into more of a bluesy feel for his music. So he started working with a couple of different musical artists. He would perform with them and kind of do live shows. A couple of those were Eric Clapton and B.B. King. So in 2005, that's when he actually released his first live album. That album was called Try. So it had a really kind of bluesy feel, and you could just feel the amazing energy that he gave off within that live album to his fans and how much that he really loved performing for them. He scored his first #1 single for the song Daughters, which was written and placed on his third studio album, which was called Continuum. This song Daughters, it actually became the 2005 Grammy Song Winner of the Year. So then in 2007, John was actually nominated for 5 categories at the Grammy Awards. He went home with 2 awards that night. The first one was Best Pop Vocal Album for Continuum. And the second one that he went home with was Best Male Pop Vocal Performance for Waiting on the World to Change, which is an amazing song written by John Mayer. If you guys haven't heard it, I suggest you go check it out because it's a beautiful song. So in 2009, he came up with another anticipated studio album, which was called Battle Studies. And he had planned on releasing this earlier in the year, and then John actually realized that he became pretty sick with a throat condition, where he had granules in his throat, and it caused him to be able to he couldn't sing, he couldn't perform, he could only play, so it made him really sick, and it really bothered him, and it bothered the fans because they were waiting for the next studio album for him to release, Battle Studies. So he took 2 years off. And after he took his 2 years off, he actually had a couple different surgeries on his throat to kind of fix what was going on in there. And after the last surgery, it actually worked for him. So after he healed, he ended up finishing Battle Studies, the last couple of tracks on that album, which was released in late 2012. And so that's when John really got on top of it, and he started working on his last album that was released so far, which was called Paradise Valley. And right after the album was released, it was released early 2013, he started setting up tour dates. And I actually got to go on tour and I got to watch him on that tour, and it was absolutely amazing. The show was awesome. It was a different mix, really, kind of between like some of his first songs that he released, and also like kind of bluesy and a little bit kind of western off of the new Paradise Valley album. So it was really cool. Yeah, so he actually, after his absence, it really kind of changed things for John. He really kind of started digging in deeper with kind of different types of genres of music, different artists to work with, and John just really is a successful artist all around. His music is influential, it's beautiful, and it's brilliant. And his words really speak heavily to his fans, I think, and I think that's what makes John such an amazing musical artist in general. He doesn't set limitations for himself. He has said plenty of times that he plans to make music until he's dead. Not only for himself, but for his fans. And I think that there are definitely musical artists out there that differ from one another, and not only in kind of like who's better than one another category, but really in just how much they love music for themselves. And John lives for it, and I've had a couple of days before where I just had a horrible day, and all I want to do is just hear one of my favorite John Mayer songs, and I just put in one of my albums, and it really just releases my mind, and I just feel so at one and at peace because his words are so powerful and they're so soulful. And I think that's what makes him an amazing musical artist. So if you guys aren't familiar with John Mayer and his music, I encourage you to go out and buy an album, whichever album it is out of his 6 that he has released so far. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, whichever one you choose. I think that John is definitely one of many artists out there and guitarists that's definitely going to be remembered forever. And I really chose this topic to talk about because he's amazing, and I love him, and he speaks to my soul, and I feel like if he can speak to my soul, or to a broken heart, or to someone who's just sad, or maybe had a rough day, then he can speak to anyone, and that's music. So I want to thank you guys for listening to me, and the next time you hear John Mayer on the radio, turn it up, and yeah, I appreciate his music because he's an amazing musical artist. So thank you all.